friend and partner here, Andrea McKinney, on the call. We're going to talk a little bit about age reversal and anti-aging.
My favorite topic.
Yes, ma'am. There we go. So we're live on Facebook. We're streaming live on the Doctor's Clinic page. You know, if you're just getting on the call, you're joining us, give us a thumbs up, heart, smiley face, you know, and comment. Let us know where you're from. You know, tell us what you think. What's your thoughts? So,
question.
Good morning, Andrea. How are you today?
Hi, Doc. I'm great. A little hot, but I'm good.
A little hot. You said 90 degrees already.
Yeah, it's going to be about 92 here. We'll probably end up with some pretty severe weather tonight because that's usually what happens in Michigan when it gets real hot.
Yeah, same thing that happened here Sunday. We got 99 degrees. Sunday night, we had the thunderstorms and tornadoes move in.
Yeah,
and then
that's what happens.
yesterday it was 90 plus. I don't know exactly what it was, but it was 90 plus. And then we had thunderstorms last night. And now today the high is going to be 66.
Oh, I'm ready for that.
I don't mind it. You can see my skin got a little burnt the last few days.
Yeah, you're a little burnt. You are.
Yeah, it's not as red. It's not as red as it looks on here, these lights. It's the lighting.
Yeah.
It's the camera that makes me look fat.
I gotta tell you, that picture you just posted when you were fishing, your skin looks amazing.
You know, not bad for 58, right?
Not bad. And I compare that to when I met you 3 years ago. There is a big difference.
3 years.
Mm-hmm. And well, I mean, you've been improving steadily, but now, I mean, it's very noticeable. And mine is too. Like I used to have like 3 lines in the crease of my eyes. Those are gone. I used to have big bags under my eyes. Those are gone now. And because I'm 65, I get those little like skin checks, you know. I have it on my left side more than my right because I sleep on my left side. So your face is hanging all night, right? So my left side more aged than my right side. But I don't even have them anymore on the right side.
No, your skin looks awesome.
I know. I keep looking in the mirror going, whoa, wow.
Yeah.
And even my grandkids and my kids are like noticing, going, wow, mom, you know? And I'm like, yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah. It's fun to see the changes, you know, and really for me, I mean, I've been taking supplements for a lot of years, and you know, originally I started taking supplements because I wanted to just feel better, you know, back 20, 30 years ago. Then I started taking supplements because I realized that I could prevent some diseases, you know. I mean, we can't technically say that, but really, I mean, if you get the right nutrition, you can stave off some disease. And then, you know, I don't know. I mean, and this is something I thought that maybe we should talk about. Then, you know, I started looking at this morning at aging, that what if we started to kind of stage aging, right? Like when you look at cancer, they stage it. You got stage 1, you got stage 2, you got stage 3, you got stage 4, right? And if you can catch cancer in stage 0, right? They say that you can reverse almost all cancer. Stage 0 would be, you got a couple cancer cells that are starting to form in the body. Let's get rid of them now. Wouldn't that be the time to get rid of it?
Right.
Yeah. Stage 1, it's gone from just a few cancer cells to, you know, they're starting to accumulate. That's stage 1. And even there, you can still reverse a lot of tumors. And you can have a lot better results. Stage 2, it's set in a little bit more. The cancer's dug its roots in a little bit more, and it's a little bit harder to get rid of. Stage 3, stage 4, well, that's when it's really set in. What if we did the same thing with aging? What if we said that, okay, stage 0 is like your kids and my kids' age. We started to say, hey, look, let's start to address this before you start to have problems. Because we know at 30, 40, 20, 30, 40, you're starting to have those cells setting in. What do they say with senescence? How many of your stem cells have gone into senescence by the time you're 40, 45?
At least 50%.
50%.
At least.
Yeah. So
And
isn't that already too late?
well, maybe not too late, but definitely you want to start addressing it. Like your kids are much younger than my kids. My kids are all looking at 40.
Okay, yeah, about 10 years difference.
Yeah. So, I'm already looking at them going, huh, I'm thinking you should like start doing some stuff.
Right? But what if they had started 10, 12 years ago, like when they were my kids' age?
Like, I can't imagine, like, well, when I was in my 30s, I had tons of energy. Everything was pretty cool in my 30s. It's like when you get going at like 40 plus that you start to recognize some changes. So if they started, in their 30s, early 30s, I bet you could stave that off for a long time.
You can push it back a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Push it back. And so let's say that like in your 20, 25 to 30, let's just say that in the staging of aging, that's kind of stage 0.
The top of stage 0. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get into your 30s. For most people, that would be kind of stage 1. Starting to feel the effects of it. I remember when I turned 30, I walked out here on the back deck and I slipped and fell on some ice.
Mm.
And I thought, holy cow, normally I would heal up pretty quickly, but it took a week.
Wow.
And I thought about that, and I thought, I'm starting to feel the effects of aging.
Mm-hmm.
That was when I was 30, right here on my deck, right there. And then stage 2 would be where you're maybe into your 40s, like you said, you're starting to see a few little wrinkles, you're starting to see a couple gray hairs. Wouldn't that be stage 2?
I would say, yeah. And, I have an example for that. Like, I don't really remember how old I was, maybe 48, 50. My daughter-in-law and I decided to move a 10-by-8 deck all by ourselves. And I slipped when I was pushing on it and racked my knee all up in gravel. I mean, it was just like some abrasion, right? And I hadn't fallen in years, and I thought, oh, cleaned it up. It'll be fine in a couple days. That didn't heal up for like 3 weeks. And that was my first indicator that, and I kept going, why isn't my knee healing? I don't get, like when you're a kid and you fall, you're all better in 2 to 3 days, and I started realizing that, oh my gosh, it's because I'm older. I'm not healing as fast. But that was before I learned anything I've learned in the last 3 years. So I didn't understand, what we know now.
Yeah, we've learned a lot in the last 3 years, haven't we?
Oh, yeah.
About aging.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that staging, and then you get into your 50s and 60s, right? That's kind of like, really the aging has set in a little bit deeper. You're finally at that stage where you're, I think, just like if you're looking at a disease, right? When you get stage 3, I think people kind of get like, I mean, they're trying to desperately find something to reverse it. They're doing yoga, they're doing, you know, they're going, I'm going to exercise more. And you see people jogging down the street, you know, and all of a sudden they're going and they're buying all this anti-aging skincare, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and they're doing their research. But if they waited until they're in their 50s, a lot of it has probably already set in so much that maybe there's no reversal of it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
Right?
don't know, because I'm in my 60s and I'm seeing reversal.
Right, but what I'm saying is that it's not, you can't go from here all the way back. I mean, you can
Right.
take it back some,
Mm-hmm.
and but can you take it back as far? Like we're saying, had you started when you were 30,
Right. Right. You would have had a better chance for sure.
yep, and you started eliminating some of those things, and you started doing something. But a lot of people, they wait until they're, you know, they wait until they're 70,
Mm-hmm.
and by that time, it's like, I mean, you know, yeah, you can reverse some of it, but it's kind of like when you go to your doctor and they give you a medication. Aren't they merely treating it now? They're treating the disease rather than trying to get rid of it.
Yep, the disease. But you know, I don't think that we have really discovered the full potential yet. I mean, we just started one of the new formulations 2 months ago,
Yeah,
and
I
who
agree with
knows
you.
what
I
that
agree with
will
you.
do.
To a certain extent, we don't really know. And like we've been talking about the last 2 weeks, where's it
Mhm.
going to go from here? Where's anti-aging going to go from here?
Right?
You know, they're already doing this 3D printing. This 3D printing, it just amazes me, where they can take a matrix, and they can put together a heart, for example. They can build a heart,
Hmm.
and yeah, it's not a living thing. It's just the structure, and they just put kind of the proteins and the cartilage and the collagen, and they put this all together, and they get this heart. And then they've discovered that they can take cells and they can inject the cells into that 3D mass, and they
Hmm.
can bring it alive.
That's just amazing.
Yeah. So they could take your cells and put it in that heart, and all of a sudden you got a living organ. They could take my cells, put it in there, and they have a living exact match of my heart to put into me.
That's incredible.
Where's it going to go? I mean, how far can they go?
Yeah.
Um,
Right?
right? I mean, with this, you know, like I remember it was probably about 10 years ago when I first was looking at the science of this skin gun, they called it the skin gun.
I think every burn unit and hospital in the world should have one.
But they don't. They don't.
I know. They
I mean,
should.
here I am, just a mere mortal chiropractor living in Fargo, North Dakota, and I heard about it, you know, a decade ago. And they could take
Hmm.
and they can grow your cells and skin cells. They can grow them overnight. It doesn't take very long, and they can grow these skin cells, your skin cells,
Hmm.
and they can make it into this like spray paint. I mean,
Yep.
that's what it looks like to me. It looks like spray
Hmm.
paint. And then they just take an air gun, an airbrush, and they blow it over the area, and
Yeah.
those cells, they stick and they grow. And I've seen videos, I've seen photos of before and after when they've done this,
Mm.
and you can't tell. There's no scar.
I know. Every time I hear a report of somebody getting burned, I'm like, they should have the skin gun, you know? So a challenge for you guys is to go to YouTube and look up the skin gun. You're going to be amazed. And you'll probably agree with us that every burn unit should have it because people don't get scarred. It's just amazing.
It's amazing. It really is.
Hmm.
And you know, so you think about the things that we've advanced. You know, like I'm talking about this 3D printing.
Right.
They can make a new organ, a new kidney, a new heart,
Mm-hmm.
a new ear, a new nose, whatever they need to do. They can make this stuff, and they can bring it to life, and you know, just by injecting your cellular matrix into it, your living cells, and all of a sudden it's
Mm-hmm.
there.
Well, look what they
And
said about stem cells in blood, that they can now grow, they can create blood from stem cells. Tom reported
right,
that when he came back from that World's Congress of Stem Cells. That's
yep,
amazing. I mean, you don't have to get tainted blood from somebody else. You know, you don't have all these people donate blood. They're just going to make blood. I
yeah,
think that's great.
yeah. Well, and we start looking at all the technology. Now they're telling us that we should all bank some of our stem cells away,
Or your teeth.
because yeah, if we do get cancer, say 10 years from now, and we have to, let's say, I mean, let's say you decide to go with a chemo or a radiation therapy, right? I mean, we don't know. I mean, you have to decide that when it's you. And but the chemo and the radiation, it damages the stem cells. It forces stem cells to go into senescence. So if you had banked some stem cells away, all of a sudden now you can bring your stem cells back to the pre-cancer stage.
That's a great concept.
Yep. I mean, they should make all of us do that. It should just be a forced thing.
Well, I don't believe in forced things, but I think people should do it.
But if we all did that, wouldn't it lower the cost of healthcare in the end? If your
Yeah.
insurance company came to you,
I mean, if you
Andrea, and
can
said,
implement some of these things into action, you know, it's something that, because we're saving so much money on the treatment, which there's forces against that, but they should be able to just do this for you. Like when a kid is born, they take their stem cells out of their own umbilical cord instead of using them and selling them. And here's yours, you know, put it in a little bank for you.
bank it away, bank it away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, as a grandparent, maybe that should be one of the things that we start looking at as grandparents. We just say, hey, you know, when you have a grandchild that's born, hey, this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to bank away.
Yes, that's
right?
a great idea. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's just so many things that we can do that we can. I mean, because we don't know what the future's going to hold.
Oh, it's going to be incredible, I'm sure. Because we
But
already have learned, you know, like knowledge is going to double in what, 5 to 10 years. So
yeah, and like we were talking about last week, I mean, in Japan, they're saying that if a child is born today,
mhm.
50% chance that that child will live to be 107 years old. It's huge. Here in the United States, they're saying that if a child is born today, 50% chance of making it to 104.
Some people believe higher than that.
Well, I'm just going, I mean, you got to go by the research. I mean, a lot of people, I mean, yeah, if you have a 50% chance of making it to 104, right? That means that you have a 20% chance of making it to 120, right?
Mhm.
I mean, that's how they get the average, because they know that, you know, some people are only going to make it to 60, some people are going to make it to 80, 90, 100. So there has to be some people on the other end of the scale too, right?
Right.
I mean, it wasn't that many years ago that Time magazine, I think it was, I'm trying to think what year that was. It's 2020 now. So it was within the last 4 or 5 years. I can't remember when I made that trip out to Arizona, where I drove out to Arizona in the winter. But there was a Time magazine on the front cover. It had a picture of, it looked like the Gerber baby, and it said, this child has a good chance of making it to 145 years of age.
Yep.
They said it did back then. So 5 years ago,
That's like
they said,
almost 2 lifetimes.
right?
That's
That's almost two
two
lifetimes.
lifetimes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 145. They said there was a good chance that baby, a baby born then 5 years ago, could make it to 145. And then Aubrey de Grey, who's one of the greatest iconic figures in anti-aging, he said that in his opinion, the first person to make in modern time to make it to 250 has probably been born.
Mm-hmm.
Probably been born already.
Yep.
Right? Probably been killed in a riot, but probably been born already.
Don't say that.
Well, I mean, I'm just so sick and tired of all this crap that's going on in the world. We're not celebrating. We're just
We got to
we're not
raise the
celebrating life.
frequency, right? It's negative frequency. Yeah,
It's
we got to
crazy.
raise that.
It's crazy. I hate going to town. I mean, I live out here in the country, and I hate going to town because it's just like you just feel that negative vibe.
Yeah.
There's a negative vibe.
Yep.
And and maybe not so much here, but my buddy that was up from Minneapolis, he said he lives in Minneapolis, and he said it is just the vibe that you get there is just totally negative. But it's different thing.
Well, that goes against your anti-aging for sure.
Yeah.
You
So
gotta have positive vibes to live a long time.
yeah, so we look at all these things, like you and I have been discussing. You look at the staging of it and you go, okay, wouldn't it make sense for people and for really for governments of the world, and I'm going to say this because I've gone to a lot of these anti-aging conferences, and one of the big discussions is that all these governments of the world, they're worried about people getting older because they're worried about financially how are they going to take care of all the old people. They're saying that it's just going to keep going up and up and up. And if they look at the way that we currently take care of old people, yeah, it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
It's expensive because they get sick.
But
so what if the governments of the world just started to step in and said, hey, Mr. 25-year-old, here's what we're suggesting that you do.
Mm-hmm.
While you still have energy and while you still have this and you still have that, start doing this. Hey, you 35-year-old, here's what you need to do. And they start all of a sudden start educating people on things that they can do. And then they get to 45 and they say, here's what you can do. You get to 55, here's what you can do. Wouldn't that make a difference by the time they get to 70, 80,
yeah,
90?
If they listen and they do it, right, it will.
Yeah.
But there's a certain percentage of people that won't make that sacrifice or won't do it.
No, there's always going to be those people that just don't do it. It's just like, based on what we know that smoking is bad for you. If somebody smokes today, it's because they just refuse to listen to the science.
Yeah.
Right?
All I have to do is take my granddaughter on YouTube and show her a picture of the smoker's lung. There's some great videos on that on YouTube, and I show her, here's a healthy lung, here's a smoker's lung, and they actually simulate it, by having it breathe and everything. And she's like, oh, I'm never going to smoke. And I said, that's right, you're not, because I kick your butt.
Right. Yeah. So, so if they started smoking, if your kids and grandkids started smoking, you'd have to look at them and say, are you just kind of poking God in the chest and saying, this isn't going to happen to me? Are you in that much denial? Right.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But so if we started doing that education and we started teaching people as teenagers, here's what you need to do. But you look into those health classes that they have, and instead they're teaching them this crap that doesn't make any difference at all in my opinion, based on what I've seen. And we need to be teaching them, we need to educate them on these things. Instead, we hear the news coming out and saying, oh, nutrition doesn't make any difference on staying healthy. Nutrition doesn't make you, But meanwhile, like this morning, I was reading these scientific reports, and I mean, it's just amazing on what they're saying is going to happen in
That's
the next
cool.
decade or two.
Yeah,
And
and kids are very teachable if you start early enough. Like I remember mentioning to my granddaughter when she was, I don't know, 5 or 6, that sugar was bad for her, and she'd say, well, I want this. And I'd say, well, it has a lot of sugar in it. And she'd go, oh, it does? Okay, I don't want it. And then she'd come to me with food and go, well, does this have sugar in it? I mean, you can totally teach your children at a young age what's good for them and what isn't good for them.
that's right. And they may still buy the stuff that's bad for them, but in the back of their mind, they're going, oh, this isn't good for me. So you teach them just like how I teach people, how to do goal setting, how to do New Year's resolutions, where, you come into the new year and you go, I mean, in the back of your mind, you always question yourself, is what I'm doing helping me reach my goals? Is this going to help
Right.
me? What can I do today to help me reach my goal? Rather
Mm-hmm.
than, oh, I already failed, so I might as well eat that whole pie.
Right. Right.
Right. I had the candy
Mm-hmm.
bar, so now I might as well eat a pie.
Mm-hmm.
And but these food manufacturers, they've done such a good job of educating us the other way, that everybody buys
Yeah.
processed food. It's loaded with sugars. It's loaded with denatured food,
Mm-hmm.
so that it can sit on
Yep.
the store shelf for a year.
Yeah. I've seen bagels that sat on somebody's counter for like 3 years.
And they
Like
can still eat them.
The guy died, and I was helping to sell his property, and his house had been left just the way it was when he died. And there were a certain brand of bagels sitting on his counter. There was no mold, nothing on those. I quit eating bagels that day. Like,
Right?
never gonna have another bagel.
Yeah, I mean, it's little things like that we can teach people, and it's going to make a huge difference. It's going to make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
I look at, like, I like to restore cars. Well, I don't really restore them. I make hot rods out of them, but I like to work on those cars, and it's always interesting to look at a car, and you see what's deteriorated and what's not deteriorated. I mean, there's some cars from 100 years ago that you could just start it, jump in, hop in, turn the key and drive it.
Yep.
Yeah. I was just talking to a friend of mine the other day. He has a 1945 Packard limousine.
Oh, nice.
1945 Packard limousine that he picked up. It used to, I can't remember exactly, but it used to belong to, I think, Vince Lombardi.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If I remember right, it was some, I mean, that's who I think it was. But I'm going to have to find out, because I want to actually go out. But he said you can jump in it and you can drive it.
That's
It's all
cool.
original. Think about that. If we could take and preserve a car just by storing it indoors, changing the oil, changing the antifreeze, changing the fluids, cleaning the interior, getting the dirt out of it, making sure and clean can't we do that with people?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Our body is designed to heal itself. So if you give it the right stuff and do the right stuff, it's going to maintain.
That's right. And so, I brought a couple props here to talk about, like we have this one,
Mm-hmm.
the AgeFill, right?
My favorite.
What a fantastic product this is. What a just a breakthrough product. And just knowing what we know, when Tom came out with this way back, what, 3 years ago?
July 2017.
So not quite 3 years ago when he came out with that. It was a great formulation, and he's already improved the formulation based on new science. He's improved the formulation how many times now? 4?
I think 5.
5 times?
4 or 5.
And he said,
4 or 5.
and he says there's a new formulation coming out this summer. And I mean, what a great product. Anti-glycation extreme. That's what AGE stands for. And so the AgeFill. And the AgeFill, it helps to give your body more energy, more NAD.
Yep.
And think of that like giving your car gasoline, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gasoline is the fuel, and then your engine has to atomize it, and it has to add air to it. Well, that's the same thing with the AgeFill. We take that, and your body adds, to the NAD that it makes from the ingredients that are in there. It makes NAD, and then it adds, phosphorus and things like that, adenosine triphosphate, ATP, that's really the energy, but NAD is the precursor to it. So it adds things to it. And what they found is that gives your body fuel. And then on top of that, we clean up the mess. We clean up it's like putting a power scrubber in your engine to clean up all the old gunky oil that's been accumulating. In an older car, say that 1945 Packard, you put in some, I use a product called Seafoam. And there's another product called Extreme Green, but you can put these products in the engine and it cleans up the mess, just like the AgeFill does. Right? And you can bring back to life that old engine. Well, that's what you're doing with that. And then earlier this year in February, when I was down in Australia, I helped launch this product.
Stimulatic.
Another just a great breakthrough product. And the idea behind this one is that, unlike your car doesn't repair itself. As you're driving down the road and a piece gets rusty, your car doesn't go and say, oh, that little, rock chip is getting some rust on it. Let's go and repaint that. Your car doesn't do that.
Right.
But your body does.
Yes.
Your body does. And that's all through stem cells. And the stem cells, they repair and they replace damaged cells, and they're constantly working. They're constantly running around trying to figure out what's wrong today. But over a period of time, like we were saying earlier, by the time you're 45, what'd you say? You got 50% of your stem cells have gone into senescence?
Right. They're no longer functioning correctly.
Yeah, and that's what senescence really means. They're no longer functioning correctly. And a little bit more than that, isn't it?
Yeah, they're giving off extreme toxins affecting good cells around them.
Yeah.
Causing mass destruction.
Yeah, and when Andrea says affecting good cells, healthy cells around them, what they're doing is it's kind of like, you're living in the inner city and you got a gang foreman and they're like, hey, Andrea, come and join our gang. We're gonna burn down buildings, or we're gonna loot stores. We're gonna do these different things. We're gonna create chaos. Well, that's what senescent cells do. So think of senescent cells like the gang.
Right.
And they're trying to get non-gang members to join their gang.
Yep, that's for sure.
And go out and cause chaos and damage and destruction. And that's what these senescent cells do. And by the time you're 70, 95% of your stem cells have gone into senescence. I mean, as you and I look forward to the next, decade of our life, as we get closer to that 70 years of age, all of a sudden, 95%. Do you want that to happen?
No.
I mean, if stem cells are the ones that repair and regenerate new healthy tissue, like I see that Band-Aid on your hand, if you run out of stem cells, right, your body's not going to regenerate. Both of them. What were you doing? Punching somebody?
I was walking with a wide chair through a narrow doorway, ripped the skin off the back of my hand.
So you had the chair like this and you hit both sides of the door?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't turn it and just hit one side?
I have good aim, right? Dead on.
I guess. Your vision is perfect.
But, I'm good at a lot of things.
But the whole thing is like I said, we need those stem cells, and if they go into senescence, they can't can't repair and replace. And so I was looking at some of the aging diseases today. If you want to do something, go on the internet and just type in, diseases of aging, and look at the diseases of aging, and then come back and say to yourself, I'm going to take these two products.
Right.
Right. And
Yes.
look at that.
And you'll be happy you did.
Exactly. These two products right here are the best products. I mean, as a physician that's been involved with anti-aging now for 30 years,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I look at that and I go, I mean, this is the best thing that I've seen. And then you add TSX to it. I guess, I should stack TSX on top of these two, because according to the research that I was reading from back, I mean, they Harvard re-reported some research from 2009 when they gave the Nobel Prize to this group of scientists for their work on telomerase. Mm-hmm. TSX, telomere support extreme. That product I should be talking about that at the same time, because the telomeres are so important as well, because telomeres are the fuse on your cells, because no matter how many stem cells we have, how much energy we have, and and all that, if the fuse is lit and it's only this long, that determines the life of that cell.
Yep. But we missed an important point with the stimulatics. When they kill off the zombie cells, when those natural substances kill off the zombie cells, a new stem cell grows. Yep.
But if the cell that the stem cell is repairing has such a short telomere that it can't fix it, it doesn't matter how many new stem cells you have either. So that's why the telomeres are really important as well.
Okay.
So it all fits in there.
Yep.
And the bigger picture that I look at is like, I look at the fact that you want to be healthy. Like I was talking to a friend of mine this weekend, and his uncle lived to be almost 90, I think 95 years old. And so he was healthy. And then he said that when he got to that age, I'll say 95, just one day, he just started getting sick and gone in a matter of, I think it was 2 months. He went from being healthy, 2 months later, he was in the ground. And, wouldn't that be the way to go?
Oh, yeah. Better than 20 years of suffering.
Yes, and that's what they say, is that we spend at least the last, 10% of our life suffering from chronic aging diseases.
I don't want that.
No. So anyhow, Andrea, I'm looking at the time. We've gone over again. We just start talking and all of a sudden, half an hour goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it goes by pretty quickly. So anyhow, I'll let you close out the call. Thanks everyone for being with us today. Again, comment, let us know where you're from, what you think, and think about what we're talking about. Start sharing this information with other people, because I think that there's a lot of people out there who need to know. They want to know, but they just don't know.
They just don't know.
They don't know where the information is. Yeah. And all of a sudden you can just share it with them and it'll make a difference. So Andrea, I'll let you close out the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Every Tuesday at noon Eastern Time, Doc and I are on here live. The Facebook page, Doctor's Clinic, Doc Fizz with Friends. And you can join us. It's a public page. Just go over there and like it and follow us. We have videos in there from, I think, 2.5 years. You can scroll back and watch any topic that you want. So thank you for joining us today. And if a friend has sent this to you and invited you to look at it, get back with them and they can help you find resources that we're talking about. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.